Screening Room. I'm Alex Costello.
I'm Molly Prescott.
And I'm James Dirth.
So you guys, it's been pretty cold out here in La Crosse. So I thought we should do a theme of kind of like a winter wonderland movie.
No. See, I think it's getting warmer out.
You think it's getting warmer?
I do. I think we should do something, warm related, like
tropical.
Yeah.
You know what? Then we don't need these coats or anything like that, because I think, what would be, a good theme. Let's get tropical. I just so happen to have this.
Yeah, I brought it too. How weird.
You just so happen to have one too?
Yeah, crazy.
Well, that is crazy. You know what a great movie is to start off with?
What?
Lilo and Stitch. Have you guys ever seen it?
Yes, of course.
Well, if you guys haven't seen Lilo and Stitch yet, it is a great, great movie. There's a bunch of aliens, there's different kinds of stuff like tropicalness, but at the same time it kind of brings family together, and it takes place in Hawaii. But before I give too much away, let's take a look at the trailer.
Your very first pet.
Are there any aminos in here?
You knew you had found your best friend.
Hi.
How?
And you knew he had found you.
Wow.
All of our dogs are adoptable. Except that one! What is that thing? A dog, I think. But it was hit by a truck. Does it have to be this dog?
Yes, he's good. I can tell.
You'll have to think of a name for him.
His name is Stitch.
All Lilo wanted was a pet of her own.
Bad dogs.
Be careful of the little angel.
It's not an angel, Lilo. I don't even think it's a dog. Who knows where this thing came from?
What she got was an alien named Stitch.
He got the wish. Oh, great! He's loose! Where is he?
A planet called Earth.
Next summer, two worlds will come together, and paradise will never be the same.
Look.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog.
What is that thing?
I got a new dog.
You sure it's a dog?
It keeps staring at me like it's gonna eat me. We have to take him back.
What about Ohana? Ohana means family. Family means nobody
gets left behind.
Or forgotten.
Which is precisely why you must now bring him back.
What, me?
Samba?
Aliens are attacking my house.
I am the one they call when things go wrong.
Oh, great! He's loose!
Things have indeed gone wrong. Walt Disney Pictures presents
Stitch!
a story of loyalty,
Don't leave me, okay?
Okay.
friendship,
You came back.
Nobody gets left behind.
and family.
Our family's little, but if you want, you could be a part of it.
Her name is Lilo.
That's my puppy.
His name is Stitch.
So you're from outer space. I heard the Sophie's Choice.
Disney's Lilo and Stitch.
Good puppy.
Coming to theaters this summer.
Now, if you guys kind of understand, there's a broken family in the situation. There's orphans, but it kind of brings the family together when Stitch comes into light. And Stitch also is kind of part of a broken family because he doesn't have any. So in this film, it kind of has this heartwarming family togetherness, but in the same sense, there's lots of humor because there is a lot of side stories going on throughout this movie. But before we give too much, I want to hear your guys' review on the story. How do you feel about this movie? I know everyone out there kind of knows this movie. It's kind of one of those, when you're sick, you kind of watch it. It gives a little heartwarming feeling to your life. But you've seen this, correct?
Yeah, I haven't seen this movie in years. And I just watched it the other day, for the purpose of this segment. And I liked it a lot more now than I did when I was younger, because it has a lot of adult humor, which a lot of Disney movies tend to have, that I just maybe didn't pick up on when I was younger. But now I did, and there's this one part where she always is going to feed this fish, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and she's saying how morbid it was to feed the fish because her sister wanted to feed it tuna. I don't know, I thought it was That part's funny. I have no idea why, but I was like hysterically laughing at that.
And I think that kind of another thing that kind of goes with that. There's a part in the movie where obviously because of her parents dying, she kind of has these issues, and her sister's trying to, work all these jobs and kind of take care of her, and you can see that it's affecting her because at one point she puts these spoons in a jar, like a pickle jar, and she's shaking it around, and her sister comes in, she's like, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "My friends are being punished," and that's not a very normal thing for a little girl to say. So it kind of, when Stitch comes into light, you can tell how much your character is changing throughout the whole story, and it's so amazing, but at the same time, there's all this humor. And let's talk about Elvis. Obviously, Elvis comes into play a lot throughout this. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a fitting narrative. Elvis is known as kind of, with the Hawaiian theme, ukulele, and it shows a bonding between Lilo and Stitch, how they bond over Elvis, strangely enough, and continues that narrative of trying to find someone even if, they're not from technically the same world. And it brings the narrative of family and togetherness and looking to find other people when you don't have technically a family.
I just think also the fact that Elvis comes into play and this, alien that is obviously not from here, they kind of bonded through Elvis, and I thought that was really funny because when I was first watching that, I thought Elvis would be the artist to bring aliens and humans together. But another thing I thought was really cool was the original Hawaiian music. They went to a bunch of schools in Hawaii and they were recording, there's a song called Roller Coaster Ride, a Hawaiian roller coaster ride, which refers to surfing. I don't know if you've ever listened to the song. They go, "Ola roller coaster ride," and then they have this like Hawaiian music, and it shows her surfing with her sister and her sister's boyfriend David, and it just was such a great moment. And then Stitch was getting captured, and all this other stuff was happening. But it was really cool that the whole soundtrack was actually based off of classrooms and like local musicians from the local Hawaiian cities.
Yeah, I definitely love that song. That song is really catchy, really upbeat. I liked it when I was younger. I like it now. But you touched on something else. You said David is the sister's boyfriend. That was like my first animated crush. Let me tell you, he is an attractive animated character. If that is a thing, can that be a thing?
Yeah, I think that's a thing.
Yeah,
Sure.
for sure. And I also liked, when I watched it, it reminded me a little bit of Frozen in a way, that it was sister bonding before, because they're always talking about how progressive Frozen is now and that it has sisters over relationships, and that kind of was Lilo and Stitch before it was Frozen. So I really like that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to bring up. I mean, in the beginning of the movie, you could tell that there was a lot of anger between them, but at the end of the movie, they were really close. But, we talked enough about this movie, but I think we should send it to break with a little clip of Perfect Pets.
Meet Fluffle, a 7-year-old loving and adorable cat, both inside and out. Her unique color and well-behaved personality make her the perfect pet to any family. Patty is a young coonhound who is a very beautiful and outgoing, affectionate young lady who would love to lean on you for some petting. This is Eli. If his handsome and unique markings don't convince you, then his personality sure will. Kaiser is a 3-year-old pit bull. Aww, just look at him smile. He is a strong boy who is in need of some training and exercise. To find out more about adoption for these pets or others, contact the Cooley Region Humane Society at 781-4014.
Again, the number for the Cooley Region Humane Society is 781-4014. Next, I'm going to be reviewing the movie 50 First Dates. I absolutely love this movie, and even with Adam Sandler in it, I think it is a terrific movie. His name is Henry Roth, and he lives in the Hawaiian paradise with the company of endless women with no strings attached. This is until he meets Lucy Whitmore. Both Henry and Lucy enjoy the company of each other and feel that a serious relationship is occurring. Approaching Lucy the next day, Henry's confused that Lucy fails to recognize him. This is the moment Henry discovers that Lucy actually suffers from short-term memory loss and can't remember each individual day. Henry won't let this stop him and is prepared to make her fall in love with him over and over again. But before I give too much away, let's take a look at the trailer.
Anyone wasn't looking to settle down. But one day, the unthinkable happened.
Are you staring at me or her? Because you're starting to freak me out.
I'm Lucy.
Henry Roth.
The only problem is...
Good morning. What is going on?
About a year ago, Lucy was in a terrible car accident. She lost her short-term memory. Poof.
She won't remember him tomorrow.
Don't you remember me a little?
From Columbia Pictures.
Every day you get her to fall in love with you again?
You don't even open the freaking car door for me anymore.
You're in trouble.
Comes a story about winning over the girl of your dreams.
Do you have any idea who I am?
I've never even met you.
Every single day.
Excuse me, Lucy Whitmore?
Yes?
I have a delivery for you.
I have a secret admirer.
Adam Sandler.
When she stops, just let her pet you and look cute. Okay, here she comes. Smile. Why is she not slowing down? Uh-oh. Oh, no! That didn't work.
Drew Barrymore.
Pretend you're attacking me so she pulls over.
What do you think you're doing? Coming over here, taking our pineapple.
Help me, please.
I'm getting your big ass. Oh! Oh! Go!
Enough, enough.
Are you okay?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
I'll be right back. Hey, come here!
No.
50 first dates.
Besides the beautiful Hawaiian landscape, this is the third film that Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler did together. Well, second, technically, after The Wedding Singer, and then their third one just came out blended. But this was my favorite because the relationship was really believable, and I found it really romantic that he put so much effort in and day out just to win her over. What did you guys think of the movie?
This, for me, is a classic because I remember when I first watched this, my aunt has short-term memory loss, and she forgot her husband's name for the first 3 years they were married. She had no idea who he was, and we showed this clip to her all the time, you know, this film, and it just brings tears in my eyes. But like you said, it's so crazy. There's another movie that's kind of similar to this. It came out maybe 3 years ago where she got in a car accident, and then she forgot her husband, and they did Channing Tatum, I think, was in it.
Yeah.
What's that called?
Oh no, this is gonna bother me. You don't know?
It's pretty much the same exact thing, but that was based off of a true story. But yeah, it just and also it's so tropical as well. But that's what I really enjoy about it is that he keeps fighting even though she's obviously forgetful. What do you think?
I think it was a good movie. It's a good Adam Sandler movie. You know, Adam Sandler is kind of this typecasted character, but this was a good example, and it was a good twist on the romantic comedy, where it's not a single story arc where it's always you have to build up to romance, there's a trouble, and so on and so forth, because technically she can't remember the next day, so she relives the same day. So it's kind of a breakup of the normal narrative, and I think it worked really well.
Do you think you would be able to do something like that?
It's really morbid to think about how you're trying to romance someone every day, and they don't remember you the next day, and then what happens when you progress a relationship? Like married, they wake up and they forget that you're married. It's kind of a morbid thinking, like long term. That's what I think of it.
I really enjoyed that you just said that because at one point in the movie, I don't know if this is giving too much away, but he starts recording every single day, and so she wakes up. But I can't imagine being Drew Barrymore's character and just waking up every single day to see these tapes. But at one point, he starts doing that, and that's just so crazy to me that he thought of that idea. But just think if they got in a fight, like she would wake up and be like, what?
That's the perfect thing for guys. If you say something dumb, she doesn't remember the next day. That is perfect. But I love that you touched on the videotape because I had one of my favorite parts in it. It said Red Sox win the World Series. Just kidding. But actually the year it came out, the Red Sox did win the World Series.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I love that. I find it very ironic.
I think it's also really cute. He works with penguins in the movie, I believe. And I don't know, he had a choice. There was a Jim Carrey movie, or Jim Carrey, yeah, a movie that it was all about penguins.
Mr. Popper's Penguins.
Yes. And that was coming out like a couple of years later or so, and I just think that was interesting. It came up again. But this movie, I watch it all the time with like significant others, and I always look at them afterwards like, would you do that for me? And kind of putting pressure on you.
Oh no, I've been called out. I mean, you have to. I mean, they're not going to remember you, so you have to figure out a way to make them remember who you are. Because like I said, it's quite morbid that they forget you every day. So through some way you have to remind them. I mean, I would do it. just to remind them who I am, where we've been, and hopefully where we continue to be in a relationship like that. But you mean, it is kind of like still that tough sense of you're being forgotten every day.
I think we can all agree that so far mine was the best, but before we get into the next movie, we're going to take a look at a UWL promo.
At the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, surround yourself with potential. Surround yourself with lifelong friends. Step on campus and be welcomed with a friendly smile. It's just like home. Surround yourself with nature's beauty. Nestled in western Wisconsin's driftless area, it's perfect for learning. Hike the bluffs, bike the marsh, soar. Surround yourself with challenging academics. Our motto is Mens Corpus Gay, Latin for mind and body. Experience a whole education. Conduct research. Surround yourself with distinction. Surround yourself with UW-La Crosse.
And welcome back. So I'm sure we've all imagined at some point living on a tropical island by ourselves with no worries. Now, what happens when that dream becomes a nightmare when you end up becoming stranded on a tropical island with no sense of survival skills and no supplies? This is what the movie Castaway talks about. Quintessential Tom Hanks role, where he ends up playing a character named Chuck Nolan, who ends up getting stranded on a deserted island and becoming washed ashore on a deserted island. The movie's gripping and great. It has a tough narrative showing how a everyday common man survives on an island by himself and how isolation really drives to you, where you become alone. Severe isolation leads to you talking to yourself, and he befriends a good and very well-known character, Wilson the volleyball. Here's the trailer.
I got a gift for you.
Oh, my.
My granddaddy used it on the Southern Pacific.
I'm always going to keep this on Memphis time.
Merry Christmas.
I love you.
I love you, too.
I'll be right back. Hey, is all this turbulence from Santa and those 8 tiny reindeer? Better buckle up, Chuck. It's gonna get bumpy.
Hello? Anybody?
I never should have gotten on that plane. They think that I am right here.
100 miles squared. That's a search area of 500,000 square miles. That's twice the size of Texas.
From the Academy Award-winning director of Forrest Gump.
We live and we die by time, don't we?
Tom Hanks.
You'll never match. Any chance, will you?
At the edge of the world.
Hey! Captain Fire!
The end of a man's journey will become the beginning of his life.
I would rather take my chance out there on the ocean than to stay here and die.
You were lost for 4 years. We had a funeral, coffin.
What was in it?
Castaway is a very good movie. It was nominated for 2 different Oscars. Unfortunately, didn't win either. But what Castaway really showed was great cinematography. It limited the score so it could show true isolation through just the sounds of nature around you. Hanks did a brilliant performance showing how one man, an ordinary everyday man, reacts to a situation where you are totally alone and have no survival skills at your disposal. It shows how he progresses eventually living for 4 years on the island and picking up survival skills, befriending the world-famous Wilson the volleyball. So the question I would have is, could you survive on an island for 4 years by yourself?
I think I could.
Oh, okay.
I was a Girl Scouts. I was in Girl Scouts, and I did the whole Pinewood Derby thing when my brothers were in Boy Scouts. You know, I know how to make a fire and things like that. So I hate to brag, but I think I'd be able to do it.
I'm not going to brag. I don't think I'd last 4 days. Honestly, could not do it.
Couldn't?
Could not.
You know what, though? I kind of had some little bit bad things to say about the movie. I really enjoyed the idea, but when it came out, you said it was in 2000?
Yes, 2000.
2000? Man, does that feel like just yesterday or what?
Oh, yeah.
I know that. I know a lot of the times people were critiquing his acting, even though Tom Hanks obviously is a phenomenal actor. He kind of did a similar movie, Terminal, where he was stuck in a terminal, and it's kind of like being stuck on an island. He couldn't leave, but he was having the same situation, kind of being crazy. Wasn't there for 4 years, but what do you think?
He didn't have to like forage for food in the terminal. You know, you can just go and get it.
He was eating like saltine crackers because he didn't have any money,
Okay.
so he put like ketchup on it. But anyway, back to Castaway. So, do you think Tom Hanks did a good job? What do you think about the movie?
Oh, I mean, Tom Hanks does amazing in anything he does. I didn't want to be incredibly critical. It wasn't my favorite movie, but I think it was definitely Oscar worthy. I was surprised that he didn't end up winning because he did win the Golden Globe. And that's not always an indicator, but usually it is. So I was really surprised when he didn't end up winning it, but I feel like he's had better roles.
I feel like this also is one of the better movies where someone is stuck on an island. They've done this over time and time and time again. What do you think sets this apart from other movies?
Like I said, it goes back to the cinematography, how it's filmed. There's a total lack of score, which makes you feel alone on the island with Tom Hanks. There's no cutbacks, no flashbacks. It's a single just take of how he progressed on the island, and which really shows how he builds up these skills. Tom Hanks does a great job of showing that he's just an everyday person. He's not a survival expert. He has no equipment, and it shows and it builds up better how you could come from nothing and then build up eventually to learning how to survive on an island where you know nothing about. And I think that's how it does it really well.
I think that's a great point to bring up because I think, obviously his character didn't show that he was some big, native, I know how to make fire and find food and be a forager. But I think you and I, we could figure it out.
You think we could do it?
After day 4, I would kind of miss, having smoothies in the morning. But
Yeah, for sure. No, what I really liked is that he only had certain amount of equipment, and they brought in survival experts to say how this could be used, and then they used that in the film. So I like that they actually had science behind what he did.
See, and it was also like Gilligan's Island was so fake. I know the show is completely different, but when I think of this movie, I think of just realism. Like everything could have happened, and that's when you were bringing that up. That's a great point. They did bring in experts and try to figure that, which I don't think a lot of movies and shows really do as much as they should. But that's, I think, a critical point as to why the movie did so well.
Yeah, what I also found interesting is that they were going to adapt it into a series, and it didn't work, but it ended up adapting into Lost, which became a very popular show.
Oh, I didn't know that. Is that one of the main points of like how Lost came to be then?
Yes, it is. It's kind of loosely based off of Castaway.
Have you seen the show
I
Lost?
haven't seen the show Lost. I watched an episode, got very confused, and stopped. And I'm trying to figure out, I could see they're both stranded on an island, but I think that's where the similarities really end. That's as I've understood Lost.
I feel like Lost, as I kind of mentioned before, is better than Gilligan's Island because they have more the real things that actually could have happened and the whole plane crash and things like that. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Lost. I thought that the ending of it was very...
Oh, don't give it away.
Yeah, I'm not... Yeah, if anyone's a Lost fan, they know what I'm talking about when I say the ending. It's one of the most disputed endings in series history.
I've only seen a couple.
I won't talk about that much more, but other related movies, I'd say, have you ever seen Blue Lagoon?
Yeah,
Blue Lagoon.
that's good.
Yep. You haven't seen that one?
I haven't.
Get in the tropical mood this weekend and watch it. Have the ambiance.
Not seen Blue
flowers.
Lagoon.
I don't even know what it is, so you're gonna have to help me here.
Okay, well, these two people, man and woman, get stranded on an island, and are we talking about the early version or the PG Lifetime version?
PG. Let's keep
PG
it
Lifetime version. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it, and they have to rely on each other to survive, and then they end up going back to school, and then they kiss in the rain. It's a very Lifetime movie.
There's a movie that I don't know if you guys would see. It's Korean, and so you have to listen to it with subtitles. Castaway on the Moon. And the whole movie, this guy wanted to end his life, and he jumped off a bridge, but ended up being on this like small little island, but you could still see the bridge. And he ended up living there for like 2 to 3 years. And it was funny because, you know, he wanted his life to end, but he ended up finding pleasure because he had a desk job and he just wanted to live his own life. And instead, he found pleasure living on this island. You guys will have to watch it. I'll send you the links. It's really good.
How did you find this movie?
And the best part of this movie is that there's kind of like a side story of this woman that never leaves her apartment, and she lives with her parents, and she's in her mid-30s, and she has kind of like social anxiety, and she takes pictures of the moon every night with a telescope and finds this guy. Instead of calling the police that she saw him on an island, she takes pictures of him every day, and they become friends. She like throws bottles, and it says the first bottle she sends, it just says hello. And then he writes in the sand, he writes hello, and he like waves out because he doesn't know where this bottle's coming from, but he's going crazy. So he's going like this, and he writes hello in the sand. The next day it says more stuff. So it's really, really good. I highly suggest it if you're in the tropical mood because, I feel like we are.
Yeah, that sounds like a story in a story in a story. Jimmy, do you know any other tropical movies?
I can't think of any.
Can't think of any?
Not at the moment.
I feel like Lilo and Stitch, though, was the best of today.
I would have to disagree.
I'm going to go home and listen to the Maha no no mi again. I know the whole thing, and I have no idea what they're even saying. I could have been saying, like, I like rocks and I sit on chairs, but I don't know what they're saying. Everything they say just sounds like, makes you have, like, sun shining on your face.
Yeah. Another one of 50 First Dates is they had a lot of, Beach Boys songs and stuff in the movie, but it wasn't on the soundtrack.
Really?
Which I found weird. Yeah, the soundtrack was pretty limited and didn't have that one at the end too, where it's like fuses 2 different songs together and it's really beautiful. Isn't even on the soundtrack as well.
Oh, that's sad. And Elvis, we were talking about earlier. How do you feel like Elvis? Does Elvis get you in the spring mood? Are you feeling springy?
A bit. I always think of Jailhouse Rock though. When I think Elvis, so not necessarily springy.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for Screening Room today.
I actually think that we can talk a little bit more about what's happening new in theaters. We have Focus, The Lazarus Effect, Hot Tub Time Machine 2, Kingsman, The Secret Service, and my personal favorite,
50 Shades of Grey.
I might have seen that twice, maybe gonna go a third time. No shame.
I'm James Dirth.
Coming soon.
Coming soon, we have Unfinished Business, Chappie, The Second Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, and Cinderella.
And now on DVD, there's a Foxcatcher, Love Rosie, and The Better Angels.
Those new ones on DVD, have you seen any of those yet?
No, I haven't seen Foxcatcher, but I heard it's really, really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Foxcatcher was nominated for a few Oscars. Steve Carell was actually up for Best Actor for that role, and I thought, he shouldn't have won, but I thought that it was really good that he was nominated for it because normally he's known as like a comedic actor, and it was really good that he like branched out and he did more drama.
That's something that he's actually been doing a lot of since obviously he was in The Office, but it's kind of hard to go from a comedic role to kind of be taken seriously, and I think that's why Adam Sandler and Jim Carrey are kind of going through that stage as well. They want to be known as more serious characters rather than comedic actors in general.
Definitely.
So now at the Riv, James, do you want to tell us a little about
that? We have The Hobbit, Battle of Five Armies, if you're a fan of Tolkien, Unbroken, Mockingjay Part 1, and Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6, have you guys seen that at all?
No,
I took my little cousins to it. Did you like it?
It was good.
Was it funny?
It was pretty funny. Not really what I expected, because you couldn't really expect much from the movie, but it was overall a good movie. It was kind of like a superhero movie origin story almost. But of course it's also Disney, so it's very Disney-esque with the often stereotypes of, friendship, loss, and recovering from loss. But it is overall a good movie. I highly recommend it. It won the Oscar, and I think it reasonably did.
Wonderful.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today on Screening Room. We hope to see you soon.
Jamaica off the Florida Keys.